Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha. Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Kalaye Sundarakaram Sadaika Priyadarshanam. Ajnana Nashakam Devam Sadgurum Muralidharam. Yasya Smaranamatreya Jittvayam Vardate Swayam. Mahamantrastam Bhajami Muralidhara Desikam. Premavratam yo Murali Shri Krishna Rupena Puravarsha. Adyapi soyam Muralidharakyo Krishnati Premna Bhuvanam Saharsham. Sankirtite Mahamantre Tatra Virguya Tatshanam. Suprasanno Bhavedyastam Premika Varadam Bhaje. Murali Mandita Karakamalam Munijana Mohanam. Vyatyastapadam Vanamala Dharinam. Prema Bhakta Mandala Nitya Kirtitam. Premika Varadam Ashrayeham. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam. Pranamo Dukkha Shamanaha. Tam Namami Harim Param. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Greetings, friends. Pranams to every one of you. I begin by offering my humble prostrations at the holy feet of beloved Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Maharanyam Shri Muralidhara Swamiji and Madhuri Sakhi Sameda Shri Premika Varadan. Before we begin this most special satsang, and I wish to thank every one of you, satsang friends from Global Organization for Divinity Australia and New Zealand, for joining in this momentous occasion. Truly is a very special day for every one of us. The 4th of November 2021, the day that marks the 60th birth anniversary of our beloved Guru Maharaj. As per the Indian calendar, this year is Plava Varsham, the year Plava. And it was in this very same year, Swamiji was born in the year 1961. The calendar repeats once every 60 years. A time to celebrate and rejoice the glories of our Guru Maharaj. It makes us wonder, what is the purpose of this celebration? What is the real purpose of glorifying Sri Swamiji, the Guru, in this occasion? Am I really glorifying him? I ask myself. In fact, if I were to tell you very honestly, it's probably the other way around. What is there to glorify the one who is that glory personified, that purity personified, that perfection? What is there to glorify? If at all, by trying to speak about this or share about this, I honestly believe that I may end up decreasing it a little bit, diminishing the glory a little bit. Because there really is nothing to add. What can you add to the sun, the brightest? What can I really do? It is that. It is the sun, it is the brightness. Right? What then is the purpose of this? What then is the purpose of celebrating the Guru, celebrating Mahatmas? Our tradition has shown us this. And everything that has been shown to us by our elders, by our ancestors, by our scriptures, always bear deep significance. This celebration is not meant to glorify Him. He is that perfection. It is for me to understand. It is for me to recall and rejoice the great fortune that I enjoy today, being under the fold of Guru Maharaj, at the shadow of his holy feet. It is that moment when all of us join together and think about what we really have in our hands, the most precious, the Sangam of our Guru. And that is the purpose of this celebration. And what better way to celebrate than to relive, share and enjoy many moments that happen around the divine presence of Guru Maharaj. The unique ways in which he teaches us, the blissful states in which he is ever lost, the most unassuming simple manner in which he descends to my level to hold my hand, to show me how to walk and to elevate me so that I realize the purpose of my life. That, I sincerely believe, friends, is the best and most apt way to celebrate Sri Swamiji's birth anniversary. And that is Madhurasmaranam, my Guru as I see him. Madhurasmaranam. Sweetness. Madhura means sweetness. Nothing but sweetness. To think of him, to think of his leelas, to think of all the divine plays, to think of every word that he uttered, every gesture that he made. Sweetness, sweetness, nothing but sweetness. In Nalayana Divya Prabandham, there's this very beautiful parcel of hymn that has been bestowed by Thirumangai Alvar, that he sings on the glory of Sri Parthasarathy Perumal of Thiruvallikeni. And while describing Perumal, he says, Vedattai, Vedathin Suvai Payanai, Vilumiya Munivargal Vilugum Kodil Inkaniyai. Very beautiful word in Tamil, Kodil Inkaniyai. Means that sweet fruit where there is not an iota that can be discarded. Every bit of it is sweetness, nothing but sweetness, and all of it needs to be consumed. The Alvar sings this while he looks at Parthasarathy. Every bit of you is that. And that applies to Guru Maharaj too. Madhurasmaranam. Sweetness, sweetness, nothing but sweetness. Rasam Mahalayam, as Srimad Bhagavatam would say. It's just that rasam. There's nothing else. There's not a part of that fruit that can be discarded away. Madhurasmaranam. My Guru as I see him. A very important part that I need to underline here. My Guru as I see him. In Srimad Bhagavatam, the greatest of all Puranas, the very form of Bhagavan Sri Krishna, right in the beginning chapters it says, Yadaditam yadamati. Meaning, the great one says, just because I'm saying this, do not for a moment assume that this is it, this is everything. No. Bhagwan, God, is beyond everything. He's not one who can be captured within this expression. And this is not said by some ordinary person, but by someone who is in that highest state of spirituality, in that perfect state. He says that to the extent I grasped, the extent I absorbed and understood, I'm conveying it to you, I'm narrating it to you. Do not for a moment think that this is it, this is everything. I'm just showing you that tiny little bit that I captured. Madhurasmaranam, my Guru, as I see him. If the enlightened ones were to say so, what can I say? This tiny little brain, this insignificant mind, the extent to which it could absorb, learn, capture, and the extent to which I made sense of it by the divine will of Guru Maharaj, and the extent to which I am able to reproduce it to you is all I'm talking about. This is, as I would like to say, not even the tip of the iceberg, but it is probably the tip of 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 the iceberg. Tiny little bit. Because he is that mighty ocean of bliss that does not have any boundaries. Guru Maharaj is that ocean whose depth nobody knows. This is tiny little droplet that I had the good fortune of tasting is all I'm trying to share with you to the extent that I understood. Madhurasmaranam, Kodil Inkani, my Guru as I see him. Yadaditam yadam. That's it. That's it. But this is the best and most apt way to celebrate, especially with friends like yourself. Because we all sail in that same ship called Guru Maharaj. Incidentally, I wish to share that this year, as per the Indian calendar, I told you, the year of birth of Sri Swamiji's Plava. The meaning of the word Plava is a boat, a ship. This isn't he the one that is that ship, that boat, that carries every one of us and helps us cross over this ocean of samsara, worldliness, that ship that we all ride in. This year is also Plava. Guru Maharaj was born in that year. And as I told you, to think for a moment and to recall some things that happened, to understand who he is, truly leaves us awestruck. Leaves me baffled every time I do it. There's countless incidents that I can recall. What we will do here, we will just share a few. Because if I look at myself and if I look at him, it's the very opposite. Because I would like to think that I know it all. But the truth is, my knowledge is so limited, it's so tiny, that I do not know what is going to happen the next moment. I do not know what's there behind this wall. I do not recall what happened in the distant past. But I would like to think and imagine that I know everything. That's how I carry myself around. But in the case of Swamiji, it is the other way around. He actually knows everything. He knows it all. But the way he does things is as though he too is another ordinary mortal who does not understand things beyond the limitations of time and space. But that mask, that disguise, definitely falls off many a time. And it is at that time we get all these nice leelas, which I note down to share with you. It happens despite his best efforts to conceal himself, despite his best efforts to hide himself. It happens. I remember this one time a gentleman visited Swamiji. So in the context of the fact that he really knows it all, he really is in control, he can see through us like we are plain glass, this incident would be very relevant. And this gentleman was a top-notch hypnotherapist. He claimed that he could literally influence anybody's thoughts. He could see through people, and if he wished, he could read a person's mind. He could put in his thoughts and make that person follow it, repeat it. Meaning, he could actually control you. That is really what he claimed. And there's lots of testimonials to this effect. Lots of people that have written and said that yes, indeed he can do it. He can really make us function like robots and he would be the remote. It's possible. He has done it. So this gentleman actually wanted to meet Swamiji. Out of curiosity, because one of the many common subjects like the power of the mind, the basis of the mind, about which Swamiji has expounded quite a bit. Swamiji agreed readily. He was as inquisitive and curious as a child to know about hypnotherapy. The one who knows it all wanted to know about this. Like a young boy waiting for the teacher to come and say something new. He was waiting to hear from that gentleman about his profession, about what he does. Before that gentleman could arrive, Swamiji was conversing with another devotee, a satsang friend. And he was describing in depth about a particular verse sung by the great Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati. The verse goes, Nallador Veenai Seithen, Adai Nalam Keda Pulidiyil Yerivanundo, Solladi Siva Sakti, Yennai Sudarmigo Arivudan Padaithu Vittai. Swamiji was describing this particular verse. He was explaining the meaning. He was singing the verse. Word by word he was explaining this. This went on for about 10 or 15 minutes and Swamiji was constantly talking about this. And then this hypnotherapist came. And he described about his capabilities to Swamiji. Swamiji listened to it as though he had seen some of the greatest surprise element in the whole world. So, really? Can you really do that? Wow, amazing. This is the expression of Swamiji. I'm trying to mimic it. Can you really control people? Yes, of course I can do it. Can you really put a thought in another person's mind? Yes, I can do it. I can actually make you repeat exactly what's going on in my mind. I can make you repeat it. I can put it inside your mind. I can insert that thought. I can do it. For instance, if I am singing a particular song in my mind, I can make you sing the same song without even telling you about it. You will not know why you started singing. Swamiji was completely amazed to hear all of this. You should really see this to enjoy what I enjoyed. It was like a 3-year-old boy who's being taken to a trade fair and he sees all these big balloons and he's completely awestruck and amazed. And he's like, really? Can you do it? Is it possible? Wonderful. And you know what happened soon after? He was saying all of this. In about 30 seconds or so, the hypnotherapist started singing a particular song. It became louder and louder. And then it was very clear. Nallador veenai seidhen, adai nalam keda pududiyil erivadundo, solladi sivasakti ennai sudarnigum arivudan padaithu vittan. The hypnotherapist was singing. And Swamiji had a very mischievous, beautiful smile. He glanced at that devotee from the corner of his eye and he smiled. It was that verse that he was actually describing at length just before the hypnotherapist appeared in the scene. And that hypnotherapist did not realize that it was he who had been hypnotized by the master of masters. It was quite an event. And I wanted to share that with you because he truly controls everything. It would appear to you like you really are in control, but you really are not. That is a fact, plain fact. If something happens, it happens according to his will. If I have his darshan today, it's because he wanted me to have his darshan today. If I chant Nama today, it's because he wanted me to do it. It's always from his end, never from my end, but he would always make it appear like it's my effort, it's my interest. It's my plan, but that's really not how it is. He truly knows it all. He controls everything. That is what I want to underline here. He truly knows it. Knows everything. Brings me another beautiful Leela that happened a few years ago. Swamiji was in Chennai. And on that particular day, Swamiji was singing lots of kirtans. He was in such a state of bhava. He was singing lots and lots of kirtans on Vittala, Panduranga. And that night, Swamiji had a very beautiful experience which he described himself. He felt that he had magically transported himself to Pandharpur. And in Pandharpur, the abode of Sant Namadev. That house is still there. It's a beautiful place. You can get a glimpse of it and read it there over one little video series of Sri Swamiji. Swamiji has actually given a lecture from that exact house of Sant Namadev Maharaj. And in that house, the Vittala that was worshipped by Sant Namadev is there. Beautiful Swami, Keshava Narayana. And Swamiji that night felt magically transported to that house. He did all the puja and aradhanam of Keshava Narayana. He did kirtan. He spent lots and lots of time there. It was such a blissful experience as he was there, Swamiji said. And then he also heard from Vittala, from Keshava Narayana, that a particular satsang devotee, a lovely lady who is very devoted to Vittala, had made a particular prayer to Panduranga. A day or two later, when Sri Swamiji saw that devotee, Swamiji called her and asked her, "Did you make this prayer to Panduranga at Sant Namdev's abode? Did you pray for this?" She was quite taken aback. That's something that she did all by herself in secret. It's not like public news. She was taken aback and she nodded yes. And also with that expression, how do you know? Then Swamiji smiled and said, Keshav Narayana told me, Vittala told me when I went there. So they all speak to him, friends. That's really what I'm trying to tell you. When you say something to Premika Varadan and Madhuri Sakhi in Namadwar, they certainly communicated very promptly to Swamiji. They communicate everything, mind. So he really knows everything. From the smallest of things to the most divine experiences. It's all in his hands. He controls it. And he gives it. Many years ago, Sri Swamiji happened to visit this very holy town in Tamil Nadu known as Vedaranyam. It's a very ancient town, and the Shiva temple there is a very ancient and special one. It's been sung by the Nayanars, the great Bhaktas of Shiva. The Swami there, Vedaranyeshwara, and we run a Ved Pathshala in that Kshetra, very close to the temple, by the divine will of Sri Swamiji. Sri Swamiji was visiting that place. The teacher of the Ved Pathshala accompanied Sri Swamiji that evening, and Swamiji went to the temple with him. As Sri Swamiji was taking a stroll in the temple, doing pradakshina, that boy, the teacher of the Vedic scholar, mentioned as a prayer to Swamiji that his father and mother were planning to settle his elder brothers. They were trying to find him a suitable bride, but it wasn't happening at all. The search was on, but the elder brother did not find that perfect match. And they were all a bit worried, naturally. So he prayed to Swamiji that he should settle up fast. Swamiji smiled and said, what is the name of the consort of Vedaranyeshwara, Lord Shiva? What is the name? What is the name of the divine consort? It's in Vedanayaki. It's the name of Ambar there. Swamiji said, Vedanayaki herself will come as the bride. And this boy is a naughty one. He immediately asked Swamiji, if she does that, would Vedaranyeshwara not be upset about the whole thing? He asked Swamiji. And Swamiji smiled back and said, don't worry about it, it is going to happen that way. Months later, the wedding was settled, and the name of the bride was Harini, that's what we mentioned in the invite. But upon asking further, digging a little bit deeper, they found that her actual name is Vedanayaki. The alias was Harini. It's nice, short style, you can speak, and that was in common use, but her actual name was Vedanayaki. And then the whole family realized what Swamiji had told them once. So he said Vedanayaki herself would come as a bride, and she did. She did indeed. So he really knows it. He knows it all. He knows when it's going to happen, when, who is going to come, what is the journey that I undertook before this, and where I'm headed to after. It's all good. It's all good. No doubt about that. yet, for those of you who have already had darshan of Sri Swamiji, who have had the privilege of spending time in his presence, you will be able to readily relate to what I'm saying. He would conduct himself like he is also another person who really does not know anything. A normal human being, that's how he would conduct himself. But here and there, like I told you, despite his best efforts, such leelas happen. The divine grace happen, they expose that divinity. They expose, he stands exposed there. He controls it all. Trust me, friends. About 5 years ago, we traveled to this town called Maharanyam, which is located in the proximity of Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu. This beautiful temple of Hanumanji, Vanavarajasimhan, built as instructed by Sri Swamiji. Namasa Kirtanam is happening there. It's a very beautiful temple. And when Swamiji happened to travel to that part, it happened to be in the middle of the hot summer. So hot, and everybody wanted rains. People were pleading for rains. That was the only prayer that everybody mentioned to Sri Swamiji when we reached that temple. It was so hot that you can't set your foot on that battlefield. It was so hot. You know what Sri Swamiji did immediately? People were chanting Nama. Swamiji walked in. He took a fan, the Siri, the traditional fan that we use in the temple, started chanting Nama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, and he was fanning Hanumanji. He was fanning Hanumanji and chanting. He said, if Hanumanji cools down, we will have rains. And trust me, within 15 minutes, the whole ambience changed, the climate changed, dark clouds everywhere. There's thunder and lightning and poured. Such heavy rains came like magic from nowhere. And then Swamiji said, as he would always put it, different people try different things to bring rains. The scientists have their own methods, people have their own ideas. But all I know is this, it's very simple. It says, Hanumanji Bhagwan, God is totality. And everything is within the confines of totality. And if you please totality, if totality cools down, it rains. When you chant Nama, that's what you do. And that is exactly what I did. I chanted Nama and fanned Hanumanji. There's no magic trick involved. Hanumanji was pleased, so it rained. Remember, this is the greatness of Nama Sankirtan. This is the greatness of Mahamantra. That's how Swamiji would always put it. He knows it all, he does it all, but he would always say that it's because of Nama. I have nothing to do with this. It's very beautiful to see the manner in which he does it. He knows everything, he controls everything, and yet he will always be that simple, assuming one that he is. There's another devotee, a very lovely gentleman, a very unique way of expressing his devotion. He would submit fruits to Sri Swamiji, particularly pineapples. A nice choice, I thought, because he wanted to do something unique, meaning If pineapples were there, Swamiji would automatically know that he had visited. So it was like a signature. It was one of those communications without words, without talking, between that disciple, that devotee, and the Guru. He would always bring a basket full of pineapples, leave it before Swamiji and go. I've seen it many times. This particular time when he came, he did the same thing. He had this tiny basket and there were a few pineapples and he left. The moment he left it, Swamiji saw, he was a bit perplexed. He looked at it and then he looked at the pineapples. As so something was not in order. He did this, like he was thinking like how a little child would do. He did this. And then he counted, okay, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 3 pineapples. Okay, fine, alright. I could not understand that math. I was very curious to know what was going on there. So I asked, what was it that Swamiji counted? What is going on? Swamiji said that the devotee was also standing there. He said he came the previous Thursday. Every Thursday, it's his practice, being Guruvaram, a day that is auspicious to worship the Guru. He would bring 7 pineapples. The idea, his bhava was for it to last the whole week. And then the next Thursday, he would offer 7 pineapples. This is what he has been doing for many years. But last week, when he came, on that Thursday, he offered 4. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Today, he has offered 3 to cover the rest of the week, so 7 pineapples. It added up, he said. I was baffled when I heard this. To think that he actually even observes that tiny, small, fine gesture, that secret code that Bhakta was trying to communicate to him. It's truly amazing. I've seen it so many times, it never registered, although pineapple is such a big fruit. It never registered. How many fruits were there? I don't know. And then why did he come today and why did he make it sound like the greatest puzzle in math got solved when he counted? Oh, it all added up this time. But then, he observes it. He observes everything. Every tiny little thing that you do, he will observe. He knows everything. It's very beautiful, the manner in which he does it. And we, when we hear about all of this, only feel very fortunate. If he observed that Bhakta, you can safely assume that he observed you, he observed me, he observed everybody. We've all fallen in that kataksha, in that protective observation of his. We're all there, we are safe. He knows it. He knows everything. That is really what I want to convey here. That divinity, that personality that he is, ever in communion with that God, with the highest, in that state of bliss. And yet, he lives in our midst, communicates with us, interacts with us, teaches us many things. Nothing but compassion, love, nothing else. That is the very purpose why he has come, isn't it? That is the very purpose. Because when you see that heart, that is when you wonder, this is that kite or that bird that is flying way above, high above in that sky. Something that I cannot even imagine. Yet, how he manages to actually descend to my level and do things to me, connect with me. Because I can never go there. he has to come. I cannot fly high. He has to descend. And that's exactly what he has done. That descent. The 60th year of that descent is what we are celebrating today. So when you sometimes see those blissful states in which he is, that bhava, it's like the gods are waiting to respond to him. In this particular year, during Mahotsav, Jayanthi, the 10-year celebrations, Swamiji was giving discourses every evening about different kshetras, different holy places, the importance and all that. The day Sri Swamiji expounded about Kanchipuram and Varadaraja Perumal, as Sri Swamiji was expounding, the chief priest of Varadaraja Perumal temple brought sadham and he was standing there. As Swamiji mentioned Varadaraja Perumal, the chief priest was standing. Swamiji was in tears. He said, Perumal has heard me, he has sent this prasadam, his blessing, right here. And then the next day, Swamiji was speaking about Jagannath Puri. At least Kanchipuram is rather close to Ashram. Swamiji was expounding about the greatness of Bhagwan Jagannath, Subhadra, Balabhadra. And as he was doing it, as he was talking about Rath Yatra, trust me friends, the Pandas from Jagannath Puri came to Ashram. The priests from the temple, from Odisha, carrying Jagannath Prasad to offer to Sri Swamiji. It's such a beautiful sight to see how all of this happened. The divine plan, the perfect divine plan. That's how it is. Sri Swamiji was extremely moved, he was in tears. He said, Bhagavan has so much of Kripa. On the other hand, it's his divine will, isn't it? The power of his sankalpa, when he is in such focus, in that state, it happens automatically. That's where he is. That's where he is, flying so high all the time, and it is in that state he also interacts. It happens, always happens. Once, about 6 years ago, Sri Swamiji happened to visit this town called Sholingar, very famous for the shrine of Nrsimha, a very ancient shrine, very holy shrine of Nrsimha and Hanumanji. They are atop a hillock. You have to climb steps to go up there. It's a very difficult climb. Sri Swamiji went there to attend a particular satsang. And after the satsang was over, Swamiji wanted to have darshan of Bhagwan Nrsimha. He wanted to see the Lord. But who is going to allow him to do all of that in solitude? People were thronging him. It was like the entire town was walking with him. Wherever he went, they were following. He tried many ways and means to slip out from that crowd, but it was not possible. People were all around him. It was like there was an ocean of people. The entire Sholingar was going wherever he was going. So at one point he gave up. He said, this is not going to happen. I can't get all these people now to climb up the hillock. So it's okay, we will go back. So we got into the car, and as we were heading out, Swamiji said, let's drive out of the town, get away from this crowd, and what we will do is we will find a particular spot. There must be a pathway that leads all the way up to the hillock. I really wanted to have darshan of Nrsimha Bhagwan today and get his prasadam. I wanted to climb up the hillock and do it, but it didn't happen. But at least I'm going to do one thing. We'll walk along that pathway and go up to the mountain. We will touch the mountain and offer our pranams to it and tell Bhagwan that we were not able to climb up the hill, so he should bless us with this prasad. So we went around the mountain. It was outside the town. It was literally in the middle of nowhere. Just trees and trees everywhere. Swamiji indicated a particular spot and he said, let's go there and we will stop there. From there we will go inside. And when we went and stopped the car there was a surprise waiting. This is a family of 4 people. Husband, wife and 2 little kids. And when we went closer, we found that this is another satsang friend from that area, from that region. And he was holding something in his hand. Swami was very happy to see them. I was very surprised. How could they be waiting there? How did they know that he was going to come there? Or how did Swami stop in that exact spot? Was what was going on in my mind. So I asked him, obviously I didn't have the guts to ask Swamiji, so I asked him, how did you know that we were going to come? He said, I don't know. This is what I did. I came very early in the morning today. Before Swamiji arrived at Muralidhara, so we went up the hill. I did an archana in Swamiji's name. I asked the priest for some prasadam for Swamiji to be given to Swamiji because I felt that was the divine command. So I received all the prasadam and I wanted to give it to Swamiji. It was crowded everywhere. I didn't know how to reach him. So I was praying constantly to Nrsimha, chanting Nama, and I said I will wait in one particular place. I will just come and randomly wait in a random place. And I will keep praying to reach this prasadam too. It really happened, friends. He had no reason to speak that spot, but he was standing right there. Swamiji went right there. He touched the hillock. He received the prasadam and he came. It's amazing the way in which it happens. That divine communication. It's a communication between Nrsimha and Swamiji's intent. It's that state. He's always in that state. Flying so high. Flying so high. In that state of bliss, and yet, out of his immense compassion, that's all of this in practice. In order to uplift me, in order to show me the path. How else can it happen? How else can it happen? It's beautiful. It's beautiful to witness all of this and understand the tiny bit that we understand from such incidents. But it's all real. That bliss. And what does he want from us? From what can he want from us? Like I told you, is this exercise something where I get to glorify him? I really can't. Like I said, I might bring it down a few notches. Can't really glorify. So what can I offer? Because he wants nothing. What is there for him to want from me? This is one simple thing, isn't it? He has taught a very simple path. He says, chant Nama, Pada Bhakti. Is it for him? No, it is for me. It is for my spiritual progress. It is for me to elevate myself and achieve the very purpose why I was born. And Swamiji would always say that the most important thing, I'd like all of us to bear this in mind, to underline this and remember this, what I'm about to share with you. Swamiji would always say the most important thing for all of you to keep in mind is simple obedience to my words, he would say. Simple obedience to the words of the Guru. Sounds like two simple words, right? Simple obedience, but it includes everything. When you say simple obedience, it means no analysis. When you say simple obedience, it means no regrets. He says, I follow, that's it. I don't apply my mind there, I just follow. That's it. That's it. I recall a friend from our Geordie Australia group who does not know Tamil language. He asked me once during his earlier visits to the ashram, I want to learn Tamil. I said, why do you want to learn Tamil? Because I want to speak to Swamiji in Tamil. When he asks something, I want to give a reply in Tamil. Can I master the language in 2 days? Yes. I said, no way. It's going to take you a lifetime to do it. You still will not do it. So then he asked, can you give me a crash course? Teach me that one response which I can give to Swamiji, and Swamiji must be happy. One response which I can learn, and I'll use it right now when I see it. So I told him it's easy. Whatever Swamiji asks you or tells you, just say, Sari Swamiji. Meaning, okay Swamiji, I will do as you say. That's it. Okay Swamiji. That answer will never go wrong. And if you actually manage to do it, you are the luckiest person as well. And all of that trip he was giving that answer, and Swamiji was very pleased. Anything that Swamiji would ask, he would say, Sari Swamiji, Sari Swamiji, Sari Swamiji. Simple obedience, right? That is the essence of everything, because I will tell you, it's not as simple as it sounds. Once Swamiji explained, we were all born to attain that purpose of life, isn't it? To realize that truth, self-realization or God-realization. That is the purpose of our births. To progress spiritually, to climb those difficult steps, to have all those spiritual experiences, the secrets revealed, till we finally attain that highest. Realize the truth. God, Paramatma, Brahman, call it whatever you want. That highest. But how does it happen? Because those things are beyond my reach. The worldly goals are beyond my reach at times. What to speak of spiritual goals that are beyond the reach of all sense organs, that's beyond the reach of the mind, spiritual progress. The only way it can happen, as we all understand, as scriptures reiterate, is through the grace of the Guru, Guru Kripa, Guru Kripa, Guru Kripa. That is the only way I'm going to have spiritual progress, purpose of life. Purpose of life, self-realization. So how do I become a recipient of that grace? Grace is always there. It's like sunlight, it's always there. But I need to understand it, isn't it? I have to understand its work on me. So how do I do that? How can I do that? How can I be a recipient of His grace? Swamiji would say, for you to understand that, for you to allow that grace to work on you, to be a recipient of that grace, you have to conduct your life in such a manner that the Guru has faith in you. Please listen carefully. It is not me having faith in the Guru. The Guru should have faith in you. I should have faith in you, Swamiji said. How can I do that? How can I do that? You can do that by simply obeying everything that I say in the smallest of matters, even when it comes to worldly matters. Worldly things, you say. If I say do it, do it. If I say don't do it, don't do it. Do not analyze. Do not think. Even if it is an answer that you did not expect me to tell you. You came thinking I'm going to say yes, I said no. You came thinking I would say no, but I said yes. But we always have these prefixed ideas, isn't it? That is why we suffer. When I go to the Guru, I really do not go like an open slate, like a clean book. I have a particular conclusion in mind. I want to buy that house. I want to take that job. I want to live in that particular city. I've already made up my mind. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to, like how a hypnotherapist attempted, I'm trying to push my thought into him and then get an approval from him, and then tell everybody that he said so, so I'm doing it. But it's really my thought, isn't it? I'm just trying to get his signature, an approval. That's not simple obedience. Simple obedience is simply obeying whatever he says, especially when the Guru says something that is contrary to what I thought he was going to say. When I do it in worldly matters, I'm going to connect the dots back. Simple obedience in worldly matters. Worldly matters is what I understand. I don't understand spiritual matters. Worldly matters I understand. Simple obedience in worldly matters. The Guru develops faith in me. And when the Guru develops that faith in me, the grace of the Guru starts working on me. When the grace of the Guru starts working on me, the doors to spiritual progress is opened, and when that happens, my spiritual sadhana bears the fruit, and I attain that goal, that realization. So simple obedience to the words of the Guru is what is going to take me to the highest. So do not underestimate that obeying these tiny little instructions that the Guru gives, because that, friends, is what is going to take us to the ultimate one day. To the letter, without a second thought, is very important. After all, let me tell you, whatever he says, even in worldly matters, end of the day would only be for our benefit. I've seen that time and again. Time and again I've seen it. There's this particular young friend who's studying in college. As you know how things are when you are at that age, the most important thing is your friends, that circle, and everything that you do. And that year, his class had planned a trip all the way up to northern parts of India, the eastern parts of India, all the way up to Nepal. It was going to be a long trip, a lovely one. To parts of India that he has never seen, he's only heard about. He's very, very excited about it. And he immediately signed up for it. Normally, his family had the habit of asking Swamiji before doing anything and everything. But the boy was so excited naturally. All of his friends were going, so he wanted to go. So he said, okay, I'm coming. And then, many days later, it was just a few days to the trip, he happened to have darshan of Swamiji, and he sort of gave information. It was not asking himself, but gave information to Swamiji that my dad is going on this trip and I am also going. So Swamiji smiled and asked, are you asking me or are you telling me? Let's be very clear. Are you asking me or are you telling me? Obviously, he couldn't say anything. He said, I want to go on that trip. I've made all the plans. And then Swamiji said the most unexpected answer. He said, no. It felt like a thunder on his head. He was shocked. You never thought for a moment that Swamiji would turn him down like that. He tried everything possible to convince him. Nothing works. He said, no, you're not. What date is your trip again? And then he mentioned the dates. Swami said, that's the exact same time when Krishna Jayanthi will be celebrated in ashram. 10 days. Beautiful function. You've never seen it in full. He was thinking about traveling to different parts of India with his friends, and Swamiji was talking about spending 10 days in the ashram. At that point of time, naturally you can understand his thing. So you're coming to ashram, to be there 10 days, the beginning to end, you will enjoy the whole Utsavam. He didn't have a choice here, so very reluctantly, he said, okay, fine. And then he went and pulled out of the trip, much to the disappointment of the entire class. And then on the day of Krishna Jayanthi, with his bag, he slowly walked into the campus of ashram. Back then, nearly 2.5 decades ago. As he walked in, Swamiji was sitting at the entrance. Swamiji had such a smile. See, you didn't go to the trip, you came here after all. Swamiji said these very beautiful words, which I will never forget because I was there too. He said, do not think for a moment that you are here because of your planning. Nobody can come here unless Premikavaradhan wants them to. You will not be able to set foot in this school. You will not be able to spend an extra moment here unless Premikavaradhan wants you here. He wants you here. He wants you to spend all your time with him during the Mahotsav. You are indeed a fortunate soul. You will not understand it now. You will later. Swamiji said, he asked him to go inside. 3 or 4 days later, he got a call from his friends. This whole group that had gone in buses got caught in a landslide. Rocks fell on the bus. Everybody was injured. People were admitted in the hospitals. There was even a fatality. It was such a horrific experience. Imagine what would have happened to this boy. God only knows, or the Guru only knows. Simple obedience. Simple obedience takes you to the ultimate. It was truly everything that Guru Maharaj does. End of the day is only and only and only for our benefit. There's nothing else there. There's nothing in it for him. Trust me when I tell you. And that is what he expects. Simple obedience, as he would say. And he knows everything that we do. The tiniest seva that we perform, the one nama that we chant, he knows. Trust me. I may always have the urge to communicate this to him somehow. Because I assume that he too is another person, another physical body, which is limited, so I have to actually go and tell him, but he knows it. I really mean it. Many a time he would reveal it. When he is communicating with you, he will reveal it to you that he knows what you're doing. And that true devotion, that true seva, the service that we do at the Namadwar here, thousands and thousands and thousands of kilometers away, physically away from Sri Swamiji, he knows. When that intent, when that love is there, he knows. I will tell you how. And that intent will always be rewarded. And he will reward it. Every one of us will experience it. Trust me when I tell you this. There was a Bhakta. He was not one who was well qualified in the scriptures. He did not know the Sanskrit language. But he was very devoted to Lord Vittala, Panduranga. He used to do such wonderful seva to Panduranga. He was very devoted to Sri Swamiji, a disciple. He always chant the Nama. He had been initiated by Sri Swamiji into the Mahamantra. He would serve the Vittala Mandir very humbly, very inconspicuously. When nobody is there, he would go and clean the temple. He would pluck all the grasses in the pathway. He would get everything ready for the puja. He would help the priest. And he would do all of this very unassumingly. Nobody would even know that he served. Heart full of love for Panduranga and always in thoughts of the Maharaj. He's an employee. He was employed elsewhere. He was doing this as well. It so happened that he planned a trip to Pandharpur to go have darshan of his beloved Panduranga. He travelled all the way to Maharashtra. He went to the Pandharpur temple and he joined the queue. Like the thousands of devotees, he was coming in the queue to have darshan. That one glimpse of Panduranga that you will get in those few minutes was so crowded. crowded. The temple is so crowded, as you can imagine. He had to stand in the queue for so long, for hours, and the queue was inching forward to finally closer and closer to the Panduranga shrine, the main sanctum. He was so excited because he was going to have darshan of the Lord. It so happened at that time, on that day, Guru Maharaj was also in Pandharpur. Normally, Guru Maharaj would not go to any place that is very crowded, because he is not comfortable in that sort of an ambience. Especially in such kshetras, he would really not go inside because it's very crowded. And he's not one to skip a queue and go in front. He does not like to do that. In principle, he does not like it. But it so happened that the office administration of that temple, the Pandharpur temple, they saw Swamiji in Pandari, and they insisted that he should come and have darshan of Panduranga that day. Swamiji tried his level best to say, no, it's okay, no problem. Mainly because he did not prefer that sort of, should I give this people? But they insisted, they would not let go. They said, it's a great fortune that you have come to this kshetra and you will not let go. So, quite literally, they forced Swamiji to go straight into the temple through another entrance. And Swamiji was standing right next to Panduranga, and Swamiji said, I turned to see the bhaktas, and this boy was standing there. What do you want to call this? Do you want to call this a coincidence? How can it be? Imagine the state of that boy. He almost fainted. Because you've seen Panduranga and you've seen Swamiji next to Panduranga. For a moment he thought, is this real? Or is it in my mind? But it happened. Right at that moment, when his cue came there, Swamiji was there. It happened at the same time. That is how it will always happen. And seva that he did every single day, sincerely, thinking of Guru Maharaj and Panduranga, to that place on that day, and he had this most wonderful experience. And Swamiji said later, mentioning him, says, Avan Pandradana Kaikariyam. Avan Pandra Kaikariyata Naan Yettukonde Pandurangan Sugitan. That is true seva, and Panduranga showed today that he has fully accepted and endorsed his seva, his service. He is a blessed soul. He is a great bhakta. That is how we should always serve him. So he always knows. I don't have to tell him anything that I do, every nama that I chant, every seva that I do, in this namadwar, in this land, sitting here, in this place, it is so physically far away from where Swamiji is. He knows. He knows. And trust me when I tell you, it will be rewarded. As Bhagwan Yogiram Sarakumar would say, my father would never send anyone who comes here empty-handed. He would fill their bags more than they can ever carry. Swamiji would do the same. He knows it. He knows everything. I don't have to tell him. All I have to do is simple obedience. Simple obedience. Chant Nama and lead a life holding on to those good values to the extent possible. As righteous and good as I can. As loving and caring and humble as I can. That is really what God loves. That is really what the Guru wants. There was a gentleman who was a devotee of a particular Mahatma. He lived in a town in South Tamil Nadu, and usually when you are in such a satsang, it comes to a point where you want to make a proper bhajan matter, like a temple, a place to do the nama. Swamiji said that you're doing so much of satsang, there should be a proper bhajan mat, and you must consecrate the divine form of your Guru He's the one that has shown you this path. That Guru's form was made. That Chavatar was made, it was ready. And usually in any temple, when you do the consecration of the Murti, that Chavatar, it involves a lot of procedures as per the Vedas. And one thing which some of you might know is they would always put some gold, some coins, gems, precious gems, navaratnas, before the Murti is installed, consecrated. So everything was planned and aligned. The next day, the Murti was going to be installed in that Bhajan Mat. And this Bhakta would do everything after getting instructions from Swamiji. He forgot this one thing. He forgot to ask about what to put the precious gems and gold. What is it that I should put in that peetham before the Murti is consecrated and installed? Frantically, he made a phone call because he cannot possibly travel all the way to Ashram. So he made a phone call to seek Sri Swamiji's guidance. As there was no time left, the next morning consecration was going to happen. He even said that I have a gold ring, so if I have to drop gold inside, I have a ring, I can maybe drop it inside. Swamiji said to communicate back to him, he gave a very beautiful instruction. Yes, you must certainly put some very important things inside in that peetham before you install the Murti. Cannot forget it. Ask him not to worry, I will tell him what to put there. Swamiji said, I will say it in Tamil and then I will translate it in English so that I exactly tell you what Swamiji said. Navaratnangal podradala irukattum, பொறாமை இருக்கு பத்தியா, அதை போடு, பேராசையை போடு, கோபத்தை போடு, காமத்தை போடு, உன்கிட்ட இருக்கக்கூடிய கர்வத்தை போடு, அது எல்லாத்தையும் எடுத்து அந்த குழியில போட்டு, இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் காரணமா இருக்கக்கூடிய உன்னுடைய அகங்காரத்தையும் மமக்காரத்தையும் போட்டு, அதுக்கு மேல உன்னுடைய குருநாதரை பிரதிஷ்டை பண்ணு, அதுதான் உகப்பா இருக்கும். He said, yes, you have to put some very important materials before you consecrate your Guru on top of it. You have to drop all of that in that hole. Do you know what that is? He said, take that greed from your mind and drop it inside. Take that anger that is always burning within you, drop it inside. Take that hatred from within you and drop it inside. That sense of pride that you have, drop it inside. Learn to be humble. And that ego, which is the root cause of all of this, drop that inside, put it deep in that hole, and then install the form of your Guru on top of it. That is how this is to be done. Beautiful, beautiful lesson, isn't it? Beautiful lesson. Here he tells us what we need to do. Simple obedience to the word of the Guru, total surrender, and to put all of this and to install him on top of that in my heart is really what he expects. He expects. And when I do that, he will reside there forever. That is the purpose of life achieved. Purpose of life achieved. Because that is who the Guru is. He does not expect me to do anything extraordinary. You know why? Because he knows I'm not capable of it. I'm not capable of it. I'm an ordinary weakling. He knows my limitations. He knows what I'm capable of and what I'm incapable of. All that he expects is that bit of sincerity, that tiny little show of intent. And when I'm willing to do that, when I'm willing to put that one step forward with that intent, he would come rushing down. He would take hundreds of steps towards me. All I have to do is not even take that one step, probably want to take that one step sincerely. That's all. If I do that, he will take the hundreds of steps towards me. That is how he is. That is how he is. Once there was a Bhakta, when that Bhakta had darshan of Swamiji, Swamiji blessed that Bhakta with an apple. After Swamiji left, That Bhakta for some reason felt very generous on that day and shared that apple prasadam with everybody who was there. Very good at it, very noble at it. It's absolutely fine, nothing wrong with that. But what happened a little after was that Bhakta felt that prasadam, that food was specifically given to me by Swamiji. Maybe there was a deeper meaning to it. Without asking him, I don't know why I shared it with everybody. That thought started haunting the Bhakta. Oh, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I should have just consumed it myself. Maybe he gave it to me for a reason. And in the mind, the Bhakta was praying constantly that the next time Swamiji should bless a prasadam, a very special prasadam, so that this feeling goes away. Because this feeling was eating inside. So happened that a little later, it was Navratri time. And during Navratri time, somebody from the same town as that Bhakta visited the ashram and had darshan of Swamiji. At that time, Swamiji remembered that Bhakta. He took a bag. He filled the bag with lots of fruits. Lots of fruits. Not one fruit, but many fruits. Lots of prasadam. And he gave the bag to this other devotee and he said, you know this particular person from your town? When you go back there, please go and give this to that devotee and say that I sent it. That's exactly what the Bhakta was praying for, isn't it? After what happened to the apple the previous time, he knows it. So he gave a bag full of fruits this time. And he didn't stop there. He asked for a new pair of silver anklets to be bought. Silver anklets. And he put that also in the bag and he said, you give this also. A very unusual prasadam, isn't it? Silver anklets. Fruits, yes, can understand. But why silver anklets? The answer was waiting at the other end. So, this bag was given to that Bhakta. And the Bhakta saw the silver anklets in tears because for quite some time it was a plan of that Bhakta to offer silver anklets to her Ishtamurti, to her favorite Lord. She wanted to offer it for both the feet. And how did Swamiji know that? Not only has he sent me a bag full of fruits, he has also sent me 2 silver anklets, which is what I wanted to offer to my favorite God, to his holy feet. And then the Bhakta said, if I take one step or half a step towards him, he takes 100 steps towards me. He showed it again today. He showed it again today. That is who he is, friends. That is who he is. That is who our Swamiji is. It's a very personification of that love and that compassion. He's here to give. He gives and gives and gives and never stops giving. I've mentioned this before, but I always like to say it. When everybody talks about the Guru, when we read books about the lives of Mahatmas and the great ones, there would always be a mention about how that Mahatma is an incarnation of a particular God or a particular form of God or an aspect of God. It has to be that way. Of course, only he can take the form of the Guru and teach, and it has to be that way. To understand that would take such a spiritual personality, isn't it? To understand the true nature of the Guru, to understand that. But I would like to say something which even I understand. With my little intellect, this tiny little intellect that I possess, I will tell you one thing for sure. Something that's absolutely undeniable. If we were to talk about Sri Swamiji as an incarnation in that context, I will tell you about that incarnation. I will tell you that if all the love in the world were to take a shape. Because when we talk about love, we say that it's a feeling, right? We say you can't see it, you can't hear it, you can't talk to it. Wrong. You can see it, you can hear it, you can talk to it. The name of that form of all the love in the entire universe is His Holiness Maharanyam. If all the gunas, if all the virtues were to take form, were to crystallize into this most beautiful form, it is that of our Swamiji. In short, if everything good about the whole world, about the whole universe, were to take a shape and form, it is that of Swamiji. He is the incarnation of all the love, all the compassion, of all the virtues and all the things that we can ever think of. And indeed, we are fortunate. Indeed, we are most fortunate that by His divine will and divine will alone, we have reached the shadow of His holy feet. He has taken us unto His fold. How blessed are we! Indeed, indeed. I would like to join all of you and pray very sincerely from the bottom of my heart to Sri Swamiji that He blesses us, that we lead lives in accordance to His divine will. That simple obedience that He always talks about, that's all that we pray for. Of all of you, that is what I pray to Sri Swamiji, for myself and for all of you. May He bless us in that manner. And by His blessings, by His grace, may all of us be blessed with happiness, good health, prosperity, peace of mind, love for Nama, service to Namagoa, Premika Vardan, Madhuri Saki, and Guru Maharaj, all through our life. And for the very purpose of our life to be fulfilled, when we reach the fulfillment of this journey, this beautiful journey. Once again, thank you all for joining me in this very lovely satsang, a very special satsang, a very special Madhurasmaranam. We celebrate Sashti of the 60th birth anniversary of our beloved Guru Maharaj. I wish to offer my very humble pranams to every one of you who have been part of this great Bhagavata Parayana Yajna. And nearly 60 of you have joined and done this Parayana from one Swati to the next Swati, the star of Sri Swamiji's birth. So beautifully coordinated by our very respected Sri Janaji, with the support of the entire GOD Australia team and GOD New Zealand team. I bow my head down for every one of you for this wonderful seva that you have done, something that is very close to Sri Swamiji's heart. May He ever be with us, protect us, and bless us always. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Sadgurunath Maharaj Ki Jai. Thank you all. Thank you so much.